Many people think I am taking action, but they are not doing it right. We have to think like 18-year-old guys and do the work with all our experience. High-level sports is all about mindset. It's 90% your mind and 10% your body. Many people want to avoid pain, but when you are a top performer, you understand that the pain means improvement.
Welcome to the X3 Podcast, your destination for people, sport, and business. And today is our first episode ever, starting January 1st, 2024 at noon. We're going to interview this person who is savvy businessman, who very creative. But before I talk more about him, introduce him, I have to ask you to follow our social media, subscribe to this channel, and most important, interact. Come in here. Tell what do you think, give your ideas, criticize, just interact with us so we can know how you're feeling and can adjust to give you a better podcast for you. And the X3 Podcast, the first one is with these guys, Elton Hubner. He's a Brazilian guy. He is, it's just amazing because I speak 3.5 languages. I say 3.5, I'm going to explain later on. But he does double. He speaks 6 languages. Very intelligent, business savvy, very creative, and I'm very excited to have him as his first podcast because without you, probably X3 never would happen.
Oh.
Elton.
Hey, man.
Thank you, man.
Nice.
Thank you to be the first.
Thank you so much.
Now, I'm excited for the next 40 minutes, okay? I can guarantee for you it's going to be a great conversation.
Yeah, as usual.
As usual. Elton.
Great.
Let's start with that.
Okay.
6.
Yeah.
How?
Man, I was born in Maringá on the countryside of Paraná in the south of Brazil. And I always knew that I wanted to live abroad. I wanted to be a war correspondent. I went to study journalism. And by the age of 19, I had learned 6 languages and lived in 24 countries.
By the age of 19?
19. I started studying English as a child, and then Spanish when I went to the beach in Camboriú every year. And I started hanging out with the Argentinians and Paraguayans and Chileans. And I thought, wow, this is awesome. I want to learn Spanish too. And then I went to live in Germany. My dad's family is from Germany, so I went to live in Germany, learned German, and then I thought, okay, I already know 4 languages.
Just 1 second.
Yeah.
Let's slow down. Just explain to you, for we Brazilians, to learn Spanish is not that hard.
No.
It is different language, don't get me wrong, but it's not that hard. It's kind of natural.
Yeah.
And English as well, you don't have that much contact with English and South America. You have the Guyana speaking English, but it's far away. Right? But because the music, the English culture is so strong, so you always movies and listen to music, so you kind of get familiar with some words, right? So it is difficult, but it's not that much. And that's why I stop you. German. And then you start to go into a different direction.
Yeah, I know.
Which one, at least for us, and if for Americans, is harder to understand. I believe if you're a European, you're gonna hear more.
Yeah.
How that happened? Like Portuguese, of course, your mother language, Spanish, English, German. You live in German?
Yeah, I lived in Germany. So I lived in Germany for a year. And here's the thing. You teach jiu-jitsu. Whatever we learn without intent is way more difficult. But when that language becomes meaningful because of something you're trying to achieve, then it's so much easier and so much more pleasant. So I always felt I was half German. So for me, it was part of my identity that I had to discover. And it started with the language. I love German. It is, to this date, it is my favorite language.
Really?
It's the hardest for sure.
I bet.
By far. For example, there's 7 ways to say one. In English, you have a or an, like ATV, or an extraordinary person, or you have one. But in German, you have einen. I'm probably forgetting something. So it's just so crazy. Yeah, but
Which one
I
is the
loved it.
fifth?
And then I went back from Germany to Brazil after a year, and I started learning Italian and French. It was easy because, well, easy. It was easier because my cousin, she owned a language school.
Okay.
And so I had a scholarship to study whatever I wanted, and that's also where I got my first job. So I spent half of the day working there in that environment, and then I also had my French and Italian lessons.
Okay, now based on my experience, why they said I speak 3.5, because when I started learning Italian, and it was getting very hard because it is close, not close, many words is similar with Spanish. And I ended up speaking Italian/Spanish, and since I didn't know that word was Italian or Spanish, and I was getting confused. So then I stopped. I said, you know what? Before I lose my Spanish, I'm going to slow down the Italian.
No, but it happens. I lived in Italy for 9 months. So when I was fluent in Spanish, and then when I moved to Italy, it totally messed up with my Spanish. I forgot it and learned Italian, and then I had to relearn Spanish later. And it happens to so many people with those two languages.
Yeah, it's close. And listen up, seeing like you at home, seeing like you're eating. As a good Brazilians, right? We order like some açaí. It's a Brazilian berry. We just love because it's for special. Elton, he have a background in sports, so we're going to talk about that. And if you do sport in Brazil, of course you love açaí. And we in Vancouver, Canada, have just opened this new location. It's called Oakberry, I believe is a franchise. But they opened a location in Kitsilano, here in Vancouver. And man, every time I have opportunity, I got that açaí so good. And if you see our mouth black, it's because of açaí.
It's my first time. And so I saw here.
Açaí?
Yeah, no, with this.
Okay.
My first time, and then I saw this here, and I was asking Rodrigo, is this condensed milk? Yeah, so now I want to dig deeper to get to the condensed milk.
They put the condensed milk in the middle, so you can have to dig it in. Mm-hmm. So,
sweet.
Let's talk about your sport background, right? Mm-hmm. So you practice sports.
Yeah.
High intensity.
Yeah. We were born in the same year. We're both 81. From 1981. We're now 42.
You don't get to make the maths.
Yeah. So I started running when I always did sports. Soccer, karate for 6 years. Never did jiu-jitsu, never. But I did judo when I was 6, and I didn't like it. I remember my first competition. I lost against a guy who was smaller than me. I cried, and I remember that, man. I never wanted to do judo again. But then I started running when I was 13, and my goal was to win a medal in my province. And 3 years later, I was competing in the South American Championships. Yeah, so it was very rewarding. I loved running. I don't know why, but I loved training and feeling the pain. And I learned to sacrifice. I learned so many things from sports, like you.
Yeah.
We can talk about it later.
Let's talk about the pain, because I really believe in the pain is a big, huge teacher.
Yeah.
The pain, like in the sports, expose you to that.
Yeah.
When you practice sport and that level, it's not more for recreational, but for competition, right? And you just mentioned that, and the difference of one of the difference for the first and second place is the first place took more pain. That's one of the way you're looking into, right? Mm-hmm. And the pain comes in many forms, right? So how much that pain and that sacrifice, that focus, determination, everything you have to put into to grow as athletes, how much that you think plays in your life nowadays?
Oh, man. It's everywhere, every day. But here's the thing. many people want to avoid pain. But when you are a top performer, you understand that the pain means improvement. And we are always seeking improvement. We want to get better at whatever we do, right? You wanted to get better at jiu-jitsu, you wanted to get better at university, you want to get better at being a dad, at being a husband, with your business, as being a leader. We always want to get better. And it comes with discomfort. When you feel discomfort, that means you are improving. Oh, yeah, so I loved, since I was 13, 14, 15, the more I suffered in training, the more I knew that the reward was going to come and it was going to be bigger and bigger.
And it's something you can feel, like your improvement in sport. When you suffer, and you can feel days later, week later, you're getting better.
Yeah.
Right? And you really connect the suffering, the pain with improvement. You know you're going to have benefits out of that. Which way you realize the benefits of the sport were playing out in your life?
I think it was a little bit before I quit. So I quit when I was 18, training for the World Championships, cross country. So when you're running, not on track, not on the street, you're running on the grass, etc. And I knew I was not going to get a medal. I knew I was training 10 times a week, 18 years old, super slim. I weighed, I think, 12 kilos less than now. So I was super slim, and I training 10 times a week. I couldn't go out. I never drank. I couldn't party. I couldn't travel for 2 or 3 days without having to run wherever I was. So I quit, but then I saw that, wow, life is so much easier knowing what I have learned from these 6 years. Suffering a lot, man, running a lot, in the heat in Brazil.
It's brutal.
Or in the snow in Germany, because I also trained in Germany. Well, you're running when it's minus 10 degrees. You're running when it's 40 degrees at 3 p.m. Yeah. But then, as I say nowadays, the more difficult it is now, the easier it will be tomorrow.
I realized my life, how the sport was playing in my life when I was watching my friends, close friends, dropping and things in their life or giving up or quitting and the project they're doing, and it wasn't. Like university, some of my friends was dropping off, like, no, I don't want to do this now, I'm going to try that, or in a job, or even like we see in relations, right? So early, probably around 20s as well, that's when I moved to Brazil. That's when I realized, looking around, like, why did my friends are dropping so much? Why, they're my friends with. And I start to analyze that. I see the correlation of sports.
Yeah.
Some of them that wasn't with sports, was doing just for fun.
But it's not just sports, right? It is sports at a high level.
At a high level.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
We also, even in our team, we have Aiden, who is here behind the cameras. Hey, Aiden practices soccer. He's a runner too. Like, he's very competitive. He never ever complains. But we have David, who is our editor, magician, and we all love him. But David, his threshold for pain is different. And we talked about it with, man, if you just knew, if you had that experience that we had competing so much at a high level, things would be easier for you now.
Yeah.
But and my wife never competed. So it's much harder. Life is harder for her because it is. Life is not easy. So it's funny that we voluntarily, when you're practicing sports competitively, you are volunteering to suffer more than the average person.
And how you understand the losses as well, how you deal with them. I really believe in the sport, in the life, those ones going to win in the end, they need to be first good losers. Because you're going to lose a lot during that process. That happened to me in every single sport I played. And that's that's translate to life as well. You're gonna lose everything you have today. You're gonna lose your company. You're gonna lose everything. I know. So those people that cannot deal with that, and go down and bad paths like alcohol, drugs, and even take their own life, right? And one thing that just came to my mind right now, but I'm not gonna release some details because this is personal in your life. A month or 2 months ago, something came up in your life. Was expecting something unexpected, and
I'm.
And you took a blow.
I can talk about it.
Yeah, no, I am gonna keep like that. If you want, I just gonna get a context.
No, I can totally talk about it.
You took a blow, which I have seen in the different and other people.
Yeah.
And I was very concerned, so I was calling, check on you and your wife, and then I remember we were talking, and then you were at the hospital, and then you told me, "No, we are very sad, that's unfortunately, but you know what, tomorrow I'm back to work." Say, "Hey man, really?" Yeah, no, Rodrigo, life goes on. And that mentality, you don't find easy out there. And I believe that's comes a part of it from the sport. High level, to know you got defeated, but tomorrow need to be back training again because the life goes on. Can you talk a little bit? You don't need to get in detail.
No, I can. So I have a lovely wife, Michelle. Most people who know me know that I am married to Michelle and know that we have a 4-year-old son, Max.
And you met her when you were out partying.
we were partying. We were clubbing.
10 years ago.
The night we met my wife. Yeah, I introduced her to you. Hey, here she is. She looked at you like this. Oh my goodness. And so she was pregnant. We wanted a second child. She was pregnant, and we had told everybody. 3.5 months in, we rushed to the hospital, and man, the sad thing is, the baby, it was a perfect baby girl. She was perfect. She was alive. Heartbeat was fine, but Michelle could no longer keep her in her uterus. So they had to take the baby out. Oh, that was so sad. I really, really cried. If I were telling this story a month and a half ago, I would be crying now. But the thing is, I cried so much, Rodrigo, and Michelle too. And it took her much longer than it took for me to recover, of course. But after 3 days crying all the time, I just decided, hey, this is it. This is not gonna define my relationship, who I am. It's just something that happened in my life. It's like getting a ticket. You get a ticket, just pay. Just pay and move on.
But that's what I have a ticket.
You get your car towed. Yeah, just go pick it up. Pay and suck it up. And don't park there anymore. Don't do whatever you did anymore. Life goes on. So it was the same thing, but it doesn't take away the pain, but you have to decide that, hey, it is okay, this happened, but now what's happening from now on? Do I want to suffer 3 more months and victimize myself? Oh, yeah, and this is what happened. No, we were looking forward to getting pregnant again. Well, it's going to happen. It's going to be awesome. That's what we chose to do. And if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. What do I get to decide?
You're good to give that insight because, of course, people watching us right now, majority of them, some of them, they do sport just for fun, never train in high-level performance. And then the way we're talking now, know how the benefits of training high performance reach to that kind of mind mentality. Or you just have a good explanation for those who as well never train or don't train that much or just train to keep your health as how you see things, how you approach the situation.
Yeah.
Positive thoughts, positive eyes, and look away to the positive side of it. Is that correct?
And I know which one comes first, Rodrigo. Is it the mindset or the high-level sports? Because high-level sports is all about mindset. It's 90% your mind and 10% your body, right? It's your mind that enables you to keep going when it's hurting, and you go, okay, well, it hurts, but I'll do this for 30 more minutes. And tomorrow morning you wake up, you're all sore. Yeah, but now I'm going to run 10 kilometers at this time, right? It's mindset.
Man, it's great. I really love that subject because one example I gave, 2018, January 14, 2018, I lost my dad. And I remember I was there. Man, they had, when you, probably some of you guys at home, your team, people at home, you know that when someone died, they call you to recognize the body. Right? It's like, yeah, like he wasn't the hospital, of course, my dad. But anyway, they call, so we have to go there, I guess, put in the paper, whatever, sign the paper. And he was there with his hand. And of course, I was crying. And right there, I promised to him, I said, I'm going to make this year, January 14th, I'm going to make this year one of the best years of my life. Wow. I promised to him because my understanding is like life goes on. And he's like my dad, he didn't want to see me suffering, being depressed. No, he wanted the opposite to me. Recognize that. His dad in front of me, I was crying. And I told you know what, Dad? I'm going to make this year one of the best years of my life. Wasn't the best, but was really close. So I have my youngest son was born in that year, and many good things happened that year.
But you have another story. You have another good example of your mindset too. Your gym. Do you remember what happened? The fire.
The fire. Yeah.
So what did you do when?
Wait a minute. I didn't interview you. See that? He thought you want to take it over. You see this guy?
Isn't it another good example?
No, it is a good. Just tease me. Because he's the famous. This is the guy behind the scenes. He takes care of everything, you know. And we're gonna talk about why the X3 podcast just live because he takes care of everything. Before you start launching here, and he was giving details to Hayden, did you got that thing? It's always, we're taking pictures, was putting something on my back to look, and he is the master of the details.
For people who don't know, this is our studio.
Yeah.
Eyes Multimedia is my company. I've had it for 10 years. And Rodrigo is our dear guest. Oh, actually, the host.
The host.
So he's our guest, producing his podcast here in our studio.
Yeah, I gave him a call.
But today I am his guest.
My guest. And the reason he is the first one is because I called him one day and I have
No. So I host a podcast. And then I invited you on my podcast.
Yes.
You
Canadian Dream Podcast.
Yeah, go ahead and you tell the story now.
Canadian Dream Podcast. If you want to check it out, go there. Canadian Dream Podcast. Many great interviews. And then he called me to be interviewed on his podcast. So I saw the way he was doing everything. It was great. And I knew he has a company, Eyes Multimedia, and he was running his podcast. And then I have this idea because in my mind, he was doing his podcast. But I didn't connect his company, Eyes Multimedia, was producing and I call him. I have this idea, I have a little space. I don't know if I would have put an altar there or,
At the gym.
At the gym. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make a studio. And my idea for the X3 podcast is to talk with people outside jiu-jitsu community, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, maybe I'm going to make a little studio here. And that's when I'm going to call Elton. He's the person who's going to give. And then we call him for coffee. Mm-hmm. And we started talking. I gave ideas. He looked at me. 3 hours coffee. And he looked at me, Rodrigo, that's exactly what I do. I can help you with that. So no way. Yeah, I can help you with that. And then he started breaking down the plan on his mind, like we have to do this and that. And that's how X3 podcast came to life.
Yeah.
And because otherwise it would be in a small areas.
At the gym.
At the gym,
and you would have to buy equipment and treat all the walls and the ceiling and make sure there is nobody else training while you're recording. People would have to come in and walk through the entire gym. It would be very hard. And you would need at least 1 or 2 people there capturing it after buying all the equipment. Look, we are filming with 3 cameras. And then after that, the real work would start because editing is, is like 80% of the
thing. Yeah. Elton, getting this, that was Eyes Multimedia's.
Yeah.
10 years ago. What was your vision? Because 10 years ago, the podcast was I think, was the beginning of podcast. No, even yet.
Oh, no. Yeah. I only started my podcast this year.
No, I'm talking about the podcast. Was the beginning of the people are just starting.
Let's see. When did Joe Rogan start?
Yeah, it was 8 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah, probably less than 10 years.
Yeah, but you didn't open the Eyes Multimedia focus to produce podcasts. No. That's the point.
Yeah, so no, we shifted to, we started including podcasts only last year in 2023. So 1 year ago exactly.
But what was the idea when you started the Eyes Multimedia? What was your goal?
Eyes Multimedia started as a solopreneurship. For those people who are not familiar with the term, it's when one person owns the business and that person pretty much does everything in the business. Before you incorporate the business, you are a solo proprietor. So I was a videographer and photographer for a company here in Canada for 2 years. And then I asked for a raise after 2 years. Rodrigo, I prepared for maybe 4 or 5 months to ask for that raise. And I was sent to Vancouver. The company had its headquarters in Toronto, but they also had an office here in Vancouver. They sent me here because they had 3 people doing the same work in Toronto and nobody in Vancouver. So I came. I started doing more than what they were doing, and it was more efficient. Like the results were coming in, and people preferred what we were doing in Vancouver. Eventually, they got rid of all those 3 people, and they wanted me to take over Toronto as well. And they still didn't give me the raise. And I asked for the raise. I had a long meeting with one of the 3 owners of the company, really long, like 2-3 hours, and with many interruptions. And then he said something that never had crossed my mind before. He said, Elton, what do you think would happen to the company if you left tomorrow?
Oh my gosh.
And I thought, I had never thought about it, but we're going to find out because tomorrow I'm going to tell you it's my last day. This happened on, I think, Wednesday or Thursday, and Monday was my last day there, because I just needed a few days to save all the files, to organize everything, and I left. Yeah, crazy.
And
then I started working for their competitors. They were my 2 first clients, but I was always working in the evening and on weekends. And then eventually I just had so many clients that the company became a company. Because for the first few years, Eyes Multimedia was just Elton. It was just me. Yeah.
I just checked here just to add of knowledge that the podcast started 2004. The first podcast.
Wow. So, 10 years now.
But 2004, talking about 20 years ago. But 10 years ago, that's when it exploded, 2014. That's where the start, people talk about. And and then came the Canadian Dream podcast.
Yeah.
That was to feature immigrants, right?
Yeah, so it's the podcast that Okay, so I'm going to rewind a little bit. A year ago, my wife, my son, and I, we went to Brazil. And I don't know if you knew this, but Brazil is the #1 in podcast production and audience in the world.
No way, really?
Yeah, just over a year ago, it surpassed the United States. Yeah, maybe it might have changed. So it's either #1 or #2 next to the US. And so they're way more developed, way more advanced than Canadians are in podcasts. So my son-in-law, he's an engineer, civil engineer, and he had built the studio for a company in Curitiba, where many MMA fighters come from. And he asked me, hey, do you want to go see the studio that I built? The studio that I built? Yeah, the podcast studio. What? And I had been thinking about podcasts for a long time. So I went there. Long story short, I hired those guys as consultants. They taught me everything. I went to that podcast studio 9 or 10 times and came back with lots of plans and the entire game plan. I had everything ready. Wow, these guys, they have been doing this for a long time. They run a lot of podcasts. So I came and, okay, this is how it's done. But how am I going to pitch it to anybody here in Canada? They don't even know what a podcast is. I mean, maybe people have heard of it and watch podcasts, but they don't really know how it's done. They don't understand how people should be talking and how you should be recording, etc. So I thought, we're going to make a lot of mistakes. We better make those mistakes with our own podcast. So I started one podcast, the Canadian Dream podcast, and my wife started a podcast called the Bravery Podcast for Parents, where they talk about things about motherhood, fatherhood, kids. And on my podcast, I interview role models and leaders, people like you. The sole goal is to inspire other people who want to come to Canada or who already came to Canada or who were born in Canada, but people who want to learn from these inspiring people, and especially to get the motivation that they need to go and pursue their dreams.
So then we start with your podcast first.
Yeah.
As experience to make a mistake. And then came your wife's podcast.
Yeah.
Today, how many podcasts you are producing?
4. Including yours. So there's 2 more.
What do you are?
And we also have people who come and produce their own podcasts here in our
counting with those as well.
Yeah, and we have one that we're probably going to start in January, so it's going to be 5.
So look into the future. And it just started. Today is the January 1st, right?
Yeah.
2024. If you had this interview in January and December 31st, 2024, and 1 year from now, what will be your prediction? Where do you be?
I think 10.
10,
podcasts.
That's your X. That's where you put it, X.
Yeah, we're going to double, I think. It's, man, starting a podcast is a lot of work. It is, for the past, we've been working on this. Today is the launch. It's episode number 1, but we have been, how long have we been working on this?
2 months.
2 months?
No, before talking, but working, I think it's 2 months, right? November.
Yeah.
October?
I would say 3 months. Because
October,
before we started working in the studio, there was
such a lot of work had been done,
And there's the entire team that you have to put together, and everybody has to be aligned. Creating a logo is not easy.
Well, it's not easy.
And there's the domains. It's this podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Then we have your Instagram account.
By the way, follow all, okay, and subscribe and comment.
Yeah. And then for other people, they can also use TikTok. They can go on Facebook.
Yeah.
The Canadian Dream podcast is also on Facebook, which I don't like.
Why?
Facebook is dead.
Yeah. I have the same feeling.
Yeah.
And talk about that, like at the TV as well, right? That's believe the podcast is getting way more popular.
What do you like to listen to? Where do you consume your information?
Exactly. I don't like a TV just to watch a documentary or a movie. When I turn on the TV, I know exactly what I want and I go after.
Yeah.
I don't browse, right? And the podcast, it's exactly what I consume most of my information. Of course, books but outside on the screen and onto podcasts.
Yeah.
Look into the society today. It's all these. You see media manipulation and disinformation. Do you think that's one of the reasons that people are relying more on podcasts, such as relying on people like us to bring people to share information and pass on without any kind of manipulation or...
It just became so much easier. The democratization of the media. Now anyone, just like anyone can go on social media and say whatever they want and type whatever they want and post whatever they want, now anyone with a little bit of discipline can actually produce their show like you were doing. How crazy is that? If you think about the time when we grew up,
No.
we would never imagine that we could not only say whatever we wanted,
Yeah.
but also that we would have different platforms to stream that, and we would also create our own audience.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing. It's crazy, and it costs so little compared to televisions. They are huge machines. They can't do it for cheaper. Therefore, they're on a downhill path, and there's no way back.
And what do you think that's going to play out with this artificial intelligence coming in place? You know, how you think that's going to merge with the creative content and creative content knowledge, and with this not new, but this is getting more in our day life, the artificial intelligence. How do you think that's going to play out?
I don't know.
It's crazy, right? You know where it's going to take.
What I tell our team is to always be on the lookout for what's new. We are using a few. Here's the thing, though. Everything nowadays is called AI. Whatever, any software now that until 1 year ago was just a software, now it's AI. So we're always using programs or websites for example, we use that to edit our audio. We use that to edit photos.
So that's what I'm saying. How that's because when they released the AI, I was looking at some data. The IQ of the AI, the first one was released, was 160. It was kind of the same that Einstein have. Mm-hmm. But the second generation was already like 10, 20, 30 times more.
Yeah.
So it was a big leap in this short period of time. You know, do you have any prediction how that's going to impact what we are doing?
Oh, man, I don't know.
Because as you say, it's taking over. Man,
what
right?
concerns me is the deep fake. Is that we could have.
What do you mean deep fake?
Oh, it's when it looks like it's a real video.
Oh, okay.
It's for example, you are saying something else, and it's possible. Like anybody now can put both of us here talking and saying something completely different. So they could make you say things that you should not be saying. They could make you look like a criminal.
I saw some videos like that. I read some videos like that.
So my concern is there's going to be way more of those.
But also,
way more.
But also good things. You can have entire podcasts be made out of it.
Yes.
Entire podcast.
Yeah, you can.
Deep fake. That's how.
Yeah.
Deep.
Yeah. You can.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we can record. Very soon we're gonna be able to record us here for 1 minute, and then use that as a template to create as many 1 hour podcasts talking about anything we want. It's gonna be possible, like very soon. Maybe within a year, maybe within 3 years. I don't know.
That's the reason my question. I don't know if you have any prediction how that's gonna take it over.
But I'm not afraid that it will take over anybody's jobs.
No,
not that, right?
No. Then my question is more about how that's going to impact our life, right? And as I said, if you can sit down here just for a minute and we record something and leave to AI to do the rest, and pick, and it's going to be a high intelligent platform. Mm-hmm. They can pick the subjects, can elaborate better the questions and everything, bring to the place, to the table, and that would be great for us. It's going to save us time, but also we're losing this.
Yeah.
Right.
What you can do right now, you can actually translate whatever you're saying in any language.
Any language. Yeah. That's great as well.
But not translating the captions.
But translate as you speak.
Yeah. It's crazy. So you can make yourself say whatever you want, or someone what is worse is that someone else can make you say whatever they want you to say.
You know what's crazy, Elton? Like, you're going to relate to what we're going to say now. Go back in time when you were in school.
Yeah.
The teacher say, okay, bring this homework about the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
And then you have to go to the library, go on the shelf and look at many books to find that books, how for Roman Empire. Not that you got 4 or 5 different books, put on the table, go through, do a homework, go back home. Was so hard to obtain, have access to information.
Yeah.
Look at nowadays we're talking.
We had the Barca encyclopedia.
The Barca, do you remember that?
Super expensive. Like for my parents, it was, well, we're either going to furnish these 2 bedrooms or we're going to buy encyclopedia. And they always favored our education.
So a lot of people now, they have no clue what we're talking about.
No. Before Wikipedia existed.
Exactly.
Before
so
the internet existed.
having people are knocking people's door to sell this book, collection of books called
20 books, 20 volumes.
That was the knowledge available in one package, and everyone who put a value in knowledge that time and could afford it because this is what was very expensive, was buying those books.
Yeah.
Crazy.
No, and we had to write it down.
Like 30 years ago.
Right? With a pen.
In the pen.
Pencil and pen in many colors. And then computers came in. We started typing using Word. Wow, man. But whatever happens, here's what I think. First, I want to stay optimistic. I don't want to become an old man who keeps saying that, oh, in my days.
In my
days. Well, and also because I think I told Aiden and David a few days ago here, I said, guys, we have to use our experience, but keep the mind or try to think. We have to think like 18-year-old guys and do the work with all our experience. Because you have to embrace whatever is new.
Yeah.
It's changing so fast. And the way we see our parents not being able to use their phones anymore, I don't want to be like that. I want to be the first.
But I believe our generation was probably one of the last one about to know how the world was before internet took it over. I think we're the transition. So we leave. I remember I was at home and I have to come back home before the lights, the street lights go on. Because when the sun was going down, the lights was on. So I have no phone that time. I was like 12 years old, 13 years old. And I came back from school, do homework, and then I could go to the street to play.
Yeah.
But I have to go back home. Nowadays, like 12, 13 years old, I have a phone. You can call. So that's what I'm saying. Many things. Anyway, but just it's good to talk about that because it's not a long time ago. No. It's not a long time ago.
Yeah, but again, the takeaway for me is not to be resistant to whatever is new. Have you heard of the term the early adopters?
No.
For example, when you talk about big changes, it's very useful when you talk about investments or business, because when something new technology or a new product comes up, there's the early adopters. Those are the guys who are gonna take greater risks.
Mark Cuban with the podcast, the broadcast.
Yeah.
That was the same. Mark Cuban. That's how he made these first millions.
So there you go. The people who jump in at the very beginning, they are very eager to embrace whatever is new. You probably know someone who bought the first adjustable height tables 5 years ago for $5,000, and now you buy them for $200.
How like here?
Yeah. And it's the same. The first adopters of podcasts, whoever started 20 years ago, 15 years ago, if they continued until now, they nailed it, right? And then there's the big mass, like the mass follows, and so that lag is quite long. It takes a while. So now, for example, anyone can use ChatGPT, but maybe 1% of the people that we know are really, really using it. And then 10, 20% have used it. or would use it eventually. And 80% are not using it.
That's true.
But eventually, they will have no choice. Eventually, they're going to be so far behind. Just like our parents were, because they didn't want to join Facebook or Instagram. Eventually, they had to join.
They have to join.
Because if they want to hear anything from their grandchildren, they have to be on social media.
I just put in my phone on my keyboard one app. You put the app on, they join with your keyboard, and you press a button. You say, write an email about this subject, and the email comes right in front of you. And anything you want to put it there. Like I'm using a lot. I just put it like a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using a lot. I can really relate with you were saying, because before I was spending like 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Typing, writing an email. Now, few words, boom, emails right there, copy, paste, off.
And it's better. That's why I'm not so concerned about AI, because think about all the changes that happened in our lifetime.
Yeah.
How many changes were not perceived as bad or evil, but now we are profiting from them because life has got so much easier for us.
I'm very excited about it, to be honest with you. Like it becomes business. That's my eyes are on. How they're going to impact the business, the way I do business. I'm trying to get my mind ahead. So I'm going to be next week going to have a conversation with the platform who I manage our schools to talk to them if we have or they're working on in the tool where our client can book to just tell their cell phone and say, hey, book me a class for today, 6 o'clock. Or on their Apple Watch, on their phone.
Yeah.
They don't need to go in any web page, they didn't do anything. Just say, book me a class, Gracie Bar, Vancouver, today, 6 p.m. That's how they want.
Yeah.
That's how they want. So my mind is already going into those, like how we can get ahead of the game, how we can.
Yeah, there's two, I think, you see, we're diving deep here. I like it. There's two ways, though, to use AI. One is you're saying you know what you want, you tell AI to do what you want. It's like your PA, your personal assistant.
Yeah.
But there's another step. I don't know what I need. I don't know what I want. And AI will figure it out for me. And that's where the real value is. So for example, you see, hey, my son is 5 years old. Here's where I live. I am looking for an activity like this. What do you suggest? And then AI comes and the first option for you is Gracie Barra, Vancouver at this and this time. They have classes at this and this times. It costs this much. Are you ready? Do you want to log in? Do you want to create your
Are we ready to jump in the AI AdWords?
Yeah.
They will come.
Yeah.
They will come, the AI AdWords, where you're going to just like Google AdWords.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, have you think about that?
Yeah.
And you have to pay to be in the first one. They're gonna. That's what I'm saying. That's where my mind is for business right now. Like when I look at the technology, that's the reason I put that on my keyboard. And try to use it more and more on my daily basis.
But you see,
we need to be prepared.
But these things, only I would say the early or the earlier adopters can really make a profit of it. Not only financially, but take advantage of it, because then everything adapts, right?
Yeah.
Everything. So you have this idea, a great idea, but if you're not the first, second, or third to do it, if you're the 20th to do it, then everybody has already done it, and Google has already changed their algorithm, and people have already changed their behavior. And I think with podcasts, it's also something that is already starting to happen. People only had a limited amount of choices on TV. And now they go on the internet and they can, if you like for example, podcasts about entrepreneurship, there's hundreds of thousands of podcasts about entrepreneurship. So it's becoming very saturated, right? Very, very saturated.
Very.
So if you were not one of the first ones, now the question is, How do you stand out?
I want to dive in. When they start talking business, that's their subject we love, right? And you have a good approach.
Isn't it funny that we both really love talking about business?
We
Why
love
is
talking
it?
about business.
It's
I don't know.
and it's not about money.
It's never about
It's not about money.
Money.
It's about opportunities. That's why I came to Canada. I came to Canada because it was the land of opportunities.
and still, so
It still is, yeah.
yeah, if you listen to others outside Canada, come to Canada. Elton, you have this way of do business where you give a lot.
Me? You are saying that? You're the master giver, the Mr. Generosity. I'm learning
Elton,
from you.
You're the gas today.
Okay, let's pretend I am nearly as generous as you are.
Because
Okay.
we just had a guy here. Well, we are getting ready to start recording, to shoot it today. And he was talking to me, how was your year? How was it 2023? I was like, was great. Having good growth, And he was talking about, yeah, man, a lot of things are coming, and once. And that's because, you see it, and now it's coming. And you do that very well, to see, to give advance, to be ahead of the time, when do business with people, looking first to your client what they want and provide what they want before anything, right? So get a little bit deeper in that subject. If you can break that down, because nowadays we're talking about business. You see podcasts or interview of people on Instagram talking about business. Is that way in a way like it's kind of like a state of mind? Oh, if you do this, if you become this person, you're gonna become successful. And when the business already is different, it's you giving more than you're receiving, at least on the beginning, right? And you don't see that, like what we see out there is different. It's just like a status,
Yeah.
People flashing, you want to be successful, you do this, that, the map will be successful. But we know it's a different way.
This is going to be surprising, Rodrigo, but I think a lot of it is my wife's fault. I learned it from my wife.
Really?
When we started dating, Michelle, she taught me to be extremely, well, she didn't teach me to be that, but she has always been extremely caring and giving. She gives. Like, she takes such good care of me, of our child, and of anybody around her, wherever she works. She's that kind of person. And we have been competing. Like, we compete to please each other. And I think naturally I took this into the business as well. So the more she gave to me, the easier it was for me to give back. And she put me in a position where I had no choice. I had to give back, I had to become better and give more. And then in business, I thought, okay, what if I am the first one to give more? The more we give to our clients, the more they want to give back to.
Yeah.
Right? The more generous we are, the more generous they want to be later. And then if they are not corresponding, then it's easy. Okay, we're not a good fit.
Yeah.
It's fine. And also, there's a lot of competition in any field. How do you stand out if you don't give more? Because everybody, they are paying, they have a certain expectation. I want to get what I'm paying for. That's it. Well, that's what both parts expect. Well, but then it means they can also leave you and go and get the same from anybody who offers that for a little bit less than what they're paying, right? Or if they want to pay less, if they don't need all of that, they can go and save a little and get a little bit less, but pay a little bit less, right? But if they want this and they are paying this, but you actually give more than this, they're hooked, right?
They have something in Brazil. I don't know if you have this connection. The gas station in Brazil is not like in North America or Europe where you pump your own gas. Get in the gas station, have a good person who comes in and you say, put it $50, $100, and they come and pump the gas in. And that is a display when the company knows how to please their client or are very aware of customer service, because I have many gas stations. I was going in Brazil and I was not checking how much was the gas price. I was going more for the service who I was getting out of the not only pump, because they're pumping and they come like I'm gonna wipe you, I'm gonna clean the windshield. Do you want to check your oil and water on your, and they pop the hood, check the oil, everything for free. They're offering you, if the price, that wasn't the price of the gas, and pay a few more cents more, I was going to that gas station because that gas station was treating me better than the other ones.
Yeah.
And the people are not that aware how much that's important.
Yeah.
Treat well your client. See, I brought you acai on the first day.
Yeah.
See? So we expect to come back on the podcast. See? Brought acai to Hayden down there, right, Hayden? Working like a happy, right? He loved.
And look at me here.
Listen.
Dude.
So I think like a lot of people talking about the business and show too much the fancy and flashy, but they talk about those things are so important for business. And these young generations coming in.
Man, honestly, I feel I like business. It's a new journey for me. First, I was an athlete, and then I was a journalist. Then I was a videographer, photographer, and now it's a new journey. Wow, as an entrepreneur, I love it. But I think that there's so much knowledge, and I am right here, and I want to learn more and more and more. But I really don't see myself as a super entrepreneur at all. There's so much more that I want to know, and that's what is so fascinating about business to me. It's wow, how do all these people, because entrepreneurship is what drives the globe, right? It's not governments. Governments just take it as much away as they can from entrepreneurs who actually create values and create all the solutions for all our problems.
All the problems, yeah.
And that's what I think is so fascinating. And for us, coming from a third world country, from Brazil, where things are so hard, whatever problem you want to solve, it's so hard for you to solve that.
Yeah.
Here in Canada or in North America, man, there's so many things we can do, right? To make the world better. Our lives better.
But the difference, Elton, is like everyone has ideas, and you have a lot of ideas, but what to put you ahead of people is because you put your ideas to work. You try. You're not scared to fail, and that's what builds a person who's going to do well in business or not. Of course, it's not to everyone, but I really believe you can make yourself up to the hires, like my competitor we're talking about, and perform at a high level. Same in business. And especially nowadays, you don't need to go to the actual Gary Vee, who's one of the guys that I follow a lot. Yeah. He says that, for parents, don't spend all money, send your kid to business, to university, to school for business. And I agree and some degree with him, because I never been in any degree for business or anything. But also I look for the sources, And of course, someone's going for a degree in business, they can be very successful, but they have different sources. You can take different path to go to this high level in performance in business high level. And the background, you for the last hour, you have been describing yourself, competing, traveling, learning, eager to learn. The person who speaks 6 language, they're gonna do anything they want. It can be to be a good parent, because you don't know what to do. You're gonna look for knowledge, because your brain used to get knowledge. You are addicted to knowledge. And then every time you go struggling in life, you struggle financially, what do? You seek for knowledge.
Yeah.
And I believe that seek for knowledge is on the core of every man and women who are doing good business out there.
Yesterday at the gym, I was listening to a podcast. The guy said, learn more so you can earn more.
Yeah.
Yeah, always learning more, always learning more. But there's another thing that I also repeat to everybody. Aiden will know what I'm going to talk about. Who are our main enemies? It's always ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? It's always. So I think for a big part of our lives, it's us who will stand in the way.
Yeah.
And also I think if anything is wrong with my business, it's 100% my fault.
Accountability.
If anything is wrong with my child, if he's misbehaving, if he's acting out, I go, hey, it's 100% me or my wife. What's going on here? Am I spending enough time with him? Right? If clients are not coming back, what's wrong? Am I behaving? And sometimes you make the biggest mistakes with the best intentions. Right? For example, you can be you with a gym, you can have the best instructors losing students. Why? Because they are too tough.
Too tough. Yeah.
That can be a problem.
Yep.
Right? Or you can have the best secretary that parents are running away from her because she's too nice. Yeah. So we have to be learning, not only learning like knowledge, but also paying attention to how people behave and being empathetic, knowing how you putting yourself in other people's shoes. Yeah, so it's an infinite journey of learning, isn't it?
One of those person I follow for business, he mentioned exactly the same thing we said.
Oh, so he's copying from me.
Exactly.
I'm sure.
We as a business owner, we need to take accountability for everything. And then he even gave this example. If you leave at home, you leave your home in the morning and you crash your car, you should be in a level of mindset is to blame yourself. If it's not your fault, blame yourself to don't leave 1 or 2 minutes earlier. See, so it is a mindset you create if you take accountability for everything and you're doing that. What do you do? And then let's talk about like what do you do when you have that mentality? I don't waste time blaming. And when you start to blame people and things, we can spend hours blaming, and we are just getting distant for the solution.
And this is awesome that we're going deep here, but look, the circle, because I was a runner. I had nobody else to blame.
No, yeah.
And for you, who would you blame if you didn't win the championship?
No, just me.
It's 100% you. You can't blame your coach or the other guy. Yeah, well, but this was illegal. And then and I blinked. Oh, yeah, well, all your fault. For me as a runner, it was always my fault. And that experience, I think I learned from that. And taking accountability is natural.
And as soon as you embrace that, how your mindset goes to find a solution to fix.
Yeah, it's the
Have
only
nobody
way.
to blame.
It's the only way.
Let's fix solution moving forward.
Or you can choose to be miserable.
And what do we talk about in the beginning of this podcast? What happened to you and your wife losing the baby?
Yeah,
You don't blame anyone.
No.
Happened, yeah. Let's cry out. 1, 2 days, I'm moving forward.
And I'll tell you why I wanted to say it out loud, because we also realized for these past few weeks that this can become, it is a taboo for many people. And then we because we talk about it whenever this circumstance shows up like this, okay, let's talk about it. I tell people what happened, and most of the time, Rodrigo, oh, this happened to me too. Oh, this happened to my sister. Oh, and then we're talking, Aiden and I were together. We're talking at an event, a client. Hey, how's Michelle? Well, actually, she was at a hospital. I'm not gonna lie, you're asking, well, so I told her, and she, well, it happened to me. I was 6 months pregnant. Wow.
Oh.
Wow, like many stories are way worse.
Way worse.
Way worse. How do I have the right
No.
to dwell, to suffer, 30 more days, 90 more days, because I am a victim? Well, it turns out, I think it's like a third or 2/3 of women lose at least one pregnancy. Yeah. Am I gonna be upset about it? No.
Yeah.
Right? And how many business owners lose their best clients without anticipating it? Well, am I gonna complain it if it happens to me? How many people have their rents going up? Well, am I gonna complain when it happens to me? No. Like, things happen to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just where do you in which position to put yourself?
The faster you get it fixed, the better.
Yeah. That was great, man. That was great for our first podcast because we really covered the sports side of it. We covered the people. I was X3 for the sport, people, and business. And we talk a lot about yourself as a person and your family, your mindset. And then we got in the last 20 minutes was deep knowledge share about business, and that the most important thing is the mindset. What you have in your mind, how it goes inside your head when you're doing business, the things you approach. And as I said, you don't need to go to a school. You didn't have business background in your family, did you?
Not in business, no.
See?
In media and communications.
Yeah, but
I have a master's in media.
Really?
Yeah, from Berlin, Germany.
Oh, yeah. That's when you went to 19 years old, right? 20?
No, later.
Or later?
Yeah, I was 30. Yeah, almost 30, I think.
So I didn't have that background as well, right? And our kids going to start way better off than us. But it's most important, you have people to look up to, have some people can guide you, and those people like you, they're so open to help. See by one of the next episodes is going to be with William, right?
Yeah.
So open. And you were talking about they're making meetings, network meetings, when anyone can come and share information. And I give my time a lot as well for people when they contact me. I give time to sometimes even people, they are my competitors, not directly. Yeah. They're in different city, but they are not Gracie Bauer. They're not with our affiliation. I give time, not a lot, but I give my time. So that thing of giving. So if you are there, listen to us, and we like in business, and you has no background, as we didn't, and go look for someone, they can guide you.
And do the work.
Do the work.
There's one thing, I know we're wrapping up, but there's, let me see if I remember this, Rodrigo. There are 3 or 4 ways that people can fail at doing what they have to do. One is they don't know what they have to do. Another one is they know what they have to do, but they don't do it. And then, there's 3. And then the third and last one is they know what they have to do and do it wrong. So you have to learn, you have to constantly learn to understand what you have to do. And you always have to do more and more and more. And second, you have to decide to take action.
Yeah.
And then third, you have to make sure you're doing it right. Because many people think, I am past stage 2, I am taking action, but they are not doing it right. And that's the point, seek for mentorships and keep learning, because first you learned what you have to do, but now you have to learn how to do what you have to do. Yeah, so those 3 things.
That's great. We had like over an hour of conversation, man.
Yeah, we have a timer here.
Have a timer.
One of our tricks behind the scenes.
That was a fantastic conversation. And if we're in Vancouver area, and you look for a media company, and go check Eyes Multimedia. You can go on their social media, Instagram, and also the Canadian podcast.
Yeah, the Canadian Dream podcast.
Canadian Dream podcast. What a great podcast.
And they should watch your episode. Is it episode 4 or 5?
Right in the beginning, right? I'm opening here right in front of me. Yeah, it was right in the beginning.
5.
Yeah, a few months ago. You're going to see a little bit chubby. So I lost some weight for like this one here. Yeah, it was right at the beginning. I think this is the first one, right?
Yeah, keep going. Let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right here,
Live, yeah.
right there.
Episode, what is it? Episode 5
Episode 5
of the Canadian Dream podcast.
podcast. Was a great podcast, and thank you very much
Was.
for making time.
We were so stoked, and you left the room. And here's the thing, you left the room, and we had a debrief, and we talked here behind the scenes, and I said, see, I want people like Rodrigo in my life. And here we are, man. We meet at least once or twice a month, doing business together.
Yeah, it's been a huge pleasure. I'm learning a lot as well from you, and I learn with the process something new. I don't want to become, as I said since the beginning, I don't want to become a Joe Rogan. That's not the goal at all. The goal is to
What is your goal?
It's to talk to you. It's to talk to people, because I have been very successful in my area, very successful, and on the martial arts business. We have some schools here in Vancouver. Is part of a big franchise with over 1,000 schools worldwide. My 4 schools is one of the biggest inside the franchise. You have done many things as we introduce many things in the franchise, has a new project and everything, who took it off. So, and when you talk with people, the people, when you're talking about you have a school, martial arts school, they connect too much with the UFC, punches and kickers. Those people doesn't know the difference, right? There's the majority out there. And I want to show, as I brought to my podcast, Coach Steve, 52 years old, psychologist, very, very successful in his business, and he's one of our coaches, and mothers and parents and people, all kind of background, coming together to train jiu-jitsu, and I want to talk with people outside that bubble. I want people to see how much the sport, the martial arts, the values, the things can bring to people's life, how much they can impact their life in such a great way. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason we create the podcast, because when we look to the other podcasts, they're talking too much about jiu-jitsu position, or, you're talking inside the bubble. So I want to bring people talking about business, people in sport. So today we talk about running.
All the 3.
Right? So that is the idea. The idea is to reach those people there, and can get some knowledge from us, from you, and that's as I said. The idea is not to make millions out of the podcast. It's to really have this exchange of knowledge. People get to know stories, like successful stories like yours.
And get inspired.
That's the most important thing, get inspired, because they have a lot of information out there, but it's not a lot of good information. And you can see, you probably find us scrolling your Instagram stories, right? But look how much crap you go through to find something good. Yeah. So, that's the idea of X3 podcast. And why the X3, right?
Yeah.
Why the X3? Why the X?
The X is the destination. It's on the map. And 3, because we're talking about people, about business, and about sports.
So today, January 1st of 2024, and 10 years from now, in January 1st of 2034, if I call you to do another episode, I'm probably gonna call you before that. Where do you be your ex? Where did Elton Hubner will be in 10 years?
Wow. No, we talked about this before, right? I love business, and Canada it's an amazing place with all the opportunities that it offers for people who are willing to put in the work, and also for people with good intentions, because people will read. After a while, the masks fall off and people can read. Lots of opportunities. I love what I do. I love what we are building. I know we're going to outgrow this space very soon. We have 3 sets here. It's going to get small very soon. So the business is going to keep growing. Our family is going to grow. But the only thing that I am really, really, really fully committed to is being a great husband and a great dad.
That's your X.
Yeah, no matter how many kids we have, if it's only max, if it's max and one more and two more, but I want to keep growing the family. And it's funny because our family is no longer my wife, my son, and myself. It's also her family, my extended family, but it's our team too, and it's our clients. I don't know if it would change one day if we were too big, but where we are now, we treat everybody as part of family. Yeah, and that's really nice. Because, it's like an army that you have around you. And as you know very well, the higher you climb the mountain, the more people will try to drag you down. But then I feel that, and we nurture that at the home, with my wife and I. Hey, we want everybody to grow together. And you probably say the same, because then we are all stronger and happier.
And this episode was a knowledge bomb was dropping here on this table.
Oh, boom!
Boom!
It was a little bit weird for me to be on this side.
I have to control yourself. I have to and he was celebrating yes! Elton, man, thank you. Thank you for, that's the idea. This is so nice to have this such a funny and deep conversation across the three pillars of the X3 podcast today with you. And as I said, I want to talk to people outside the bubble and pass a good content, putting something out there that people can use in their lives. And you just put it a map on this podcast. You end talking about family, how's your X, how's your destination, how's the thing you're looking for to improve and always be there. That's your X. And how you build that is your foundation. And as you grow that, I see your foundation gets larger, and with a larger foundation, you can build a higher building, right? So exactly, and that's the way I see and everything about your mindset, about how you treat your customers, how you treat your team is huge. And that kind of quality of knowledge we don't see out there that much, and you just drop that for free today.
Oh,
thank you a lot, and I hope you really enjoy. Don't forget, before you subscribe in our channels, which channels for the X3 podcast?
Okay, we are on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, and of course we post a lot of updates on Instagram.
And after you do that, to subscribe, go to Canadian Dream Podcast, Eyes Multimedia as well, and especially Canadian Dream Podcast, because this is weekly.
Yeah,
weekly episodes. Go watch. I have many good episodes there. Yeah. And don't forget to comment as well. It's very important to comment, interact with us, because you're going to be reading all your comments and interact with you as well, and that's going to help to improve the X3 podcast. Today is the first day of the year, and I want to finish our first podcast wishing you all an amazing 2024. And I hope to be at least 3 times better than was 2023. Thank you very much again. And X3 Podcast, your destination for business, people with sport. Finishing right here, the first episode with Elton Hubner.
Bam!
What a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.